So let's take a look at the main server class. The main server class, of course, extends the simple application and implements two interfaces. In this case, a connection listener and a message listener of type hosted connection. So implementing these interfaces gives us the power to be able to react to clients that connect to the server or disconnect from the server. And it gives us the power to be able to send and receive messages that are exchanged between client and server. At first, we create a reference to a server object that we are going to create in the following. So the simple init app method is the first method that is run, and with this line we just basically create the server object. In the following we have to register some classes. This is very important because you cannot send ints or doubles or vectors or something like that to the clients, and you cannot receive these simple basic data types. You have to send and receive binary data, and because of this you have to register these classes that are serialized. Java serializing means that data is put into a binary format that can be exchanged between client and server, but we can look at this later. Then we print out the server's IP address to be able to connect to it and start the thread that we are also going to talk about it later. In the destroy method, we just close every connection to every client and close the server accordingly and destroy the app finally. So myServer.getConnections. This is a collection that contains every information on every client. This is very basically for us because we can iterate through it and just get every client that is connected. We will use it later too. In this case, for example, if a client connects to us, then we can just put an attribute onto the client object and store the information that are necessary for us on the client object itself. So we need position and rotation, and with this we just initialize it, and we are just putting two attributes onto the hosted connection object, onto the client object that is connected with us, because we will need these two attributes later. If the connection is removed, we are just sending a close message to all clients with the idea of the client that has disconnected. So every client can then remove this specific ID from its client list. In JMonkeyEngine you can send messages with two ways. Set reliable true sends via TCP, and if you put a false into the brackets, then it sends via UDP. TCP is a safe way, UDP is a fast way. So if your client has disconnected and you want to close it, it's very important to do it the safe way and to broadcast this message to all clients, that every single client will really remove the disconnected client from its list. So we can also receive messages, and we have to implement this method because we're implementing the interface. And if we receive a message, then we can see from which client it was, and then we got the message and we can do something with the message. And if this message that is received is an instance of a position rotation message that every client sends in order to send its position and rotation, then we can just cast this message to a position rotation message and then store the updated values on the client object itself. So client C sends its position and rotation, so we are going to put this updated position and rotation that are stored inside the message, so we can update these attributes on the client object itself in our hosted connection object. Our hosted connection object is just one client in this collection where all clients are stored. So this was the main server class, and now we're going to take a look at the other classes.